Hi, my name is Linda Deslauriers, and now we're going to get started showing you how to cut your friends and family's hair. I'm super excited. Teresa just came in, and I'm going to ask Teresa, what would you like for your hair today?
Well, Linda, I am looking for a nice, clean, symmetrical trim, just enough to get rid of the dead, dried out and tired ends. I've been working on growing out my hair for some time, so I'd like to keep as much length as possible, but I'm open to getting rid of what we need to get rid of.
Great, that's very informative. And let me just double check here this part that it's in between your chin and your cheekbones. Is this also included in just the trim, or would you like that a little shorter than the rest? Or should we look as we go along?
I would like to trim it up, trying to grow it out, but whatever you think. I trust your judgment.
Yeah, I think your hair looks great, and I think I'm going to just aim for cutting off this much, just a little bit. Great. Before we even take the scissors into our hands, we start the pre-combing phase. Pre-combing helps you to get familiar with the person's hair. That's why I like to do it while the hair is dry. You get to feel the texture, to see how straight, wavy or curly it is, or how dry it feels, and you are basically detangling the hair, which makes it much easier later to comb it just before you cut it. I start detangling or pre-combing from the top to the bottom, and here you can see it's getting a little bit more difficult for this comb to get through the hair. And then I take the strand and hold it with my other hand so I don't pull on the roots, which could cause the person to have some unpleasant sensations. And the cuticle layer of each hair grows like this way. So it really makes sense to detangle hair going from the top to the bottom. Some people have the habit of detangling the tips first and then work their way up, but it's a little bit counterproductive and it could almost end up being teasing the hair. So this is the healthiest version. Comb size is important. This is a fine tooth comb, perfect for Teresa's hair. Some people's hair need to have a white tooth comb for the first pre-combing round and then a finer one for the second. The next step is measuring the hair. Where is it at? Are the sides even? And of course, you can sort of get a glimpse by just looking, bending down while the person is sitting, but it's much easier with long and medium long hair to ask the person to stand up. And now I'm standing exactly behind it and I'm looking at the line. And it really does look pretty even, but often the hair grows longer on one side, or when it was cut before, the person didn't sit right in the chair and there is a difference. And when people ask for just a little trim, sometimes that's already what's needed to just even it out. And then I'm going to look at the grown out bangs and see where they are at. And I know I have Teresa's permission to do this right now, but when you do it with your kids or friends, you may want to ask them if it's okay to just comb all the hair forward, to give them a little warning just in case it tickles. And you can see that this side is a little shorter than this. And that is because Teresa wears her hair with a side part. So it does make sense, but it's good to know that we know this is a little shorter than this side. And another way to measure hair is using the ear. I draw a line with my comb in front of the ear, like that. Put the medium or long hair to the back. Then I do the same thing on the other side, and especially with layered cuts or gradations. it's kind of good to see. This is basically the hair on both sides, and how does it look? And again, this is there's a little less hair on her right side, and it's a little longer and a tad thicker on Teresa's left side. And I'm just looking at it, but all in all, Teresa's hair is pretty even. The first time when you cut someone's hair, it might be overwhelming because there's so much hair on a person's head. And of course, we work in steps. And the term that's being used in hairdressing to divide the hair up is called sectioning. Sectioning is really determined by the size of your hands and your fingers, and the comb and the scissors, but basically the size of your fingers. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's say I take this section of Teresa's hair to really comfortably have it in my fingers. As you can see, it cannot be wider than my fingers, right? Or if I go down, I pull the hair out all the way down. Here, I can beautifully cut now without cutting into my hand or having hair sticking out here. So a section is determined by the length of your fingers. There is a formula on which all hair cutting rests. And the formula consists out of 5 words. Easy to remember, just like we have 5 fingers, 5 words. And the first word is section. We take a section, and I'm just grabbing one section right now. We take a section. The second word is combing. The third is guiding, because as you can see, I am guiding the comb with my fingers. Then I switch, that's word number 4, and then I cut. Right now I'm just doing air cutting without the H, practice cutting. I recommend that you will ask someone who enjoys having their hair played with to model for you so you can practice what I call air cutting, where you just practice the formula. You take a section of hair, you comb, you guide, you practice switching the comb into the other hand, and then you pretend cut. You just cut air just above the hairline. I wanted to show you the 5 basic hair cutting techniques that you should know about when you talk to your hairdresser or when you practice hair cutting yourself. The first one is called slicing. And slicing is a type of thinning technique where basically the person takes a strand of hair and takes just one blade of the scissors and just basically cuts along the hair. I'm not doing it right now. The effect will be that this whole piece of hair would be thinned out, looks feathered, less bulky. I am usually not slicing hair. It's often experienced by hairdressers and by the recipients as too aggressive and just gives an unpleasant feeling. I wanted you to know that that's called slicing. The next one, you've all seen this interesting pair of scissors. It's called thinning shears. And again, I'm not doing it, I'm just demonstrating. Basically just cut into someone's hair in steps, and then you take a comb and you can literally comb out portions of the hair with the effect that this whole piece will be thinned out. Again, from a holistic point of view, it just disconnects the hair. It even interrupts the natural growth cycle and is not my favorite technique at all. Another hair cutting technique is called point cutting or pointing. And for Teresa's hair today, we don't really want to go for any type of thinning. like slicing or using thinning shears or even using point cutting to thin her hair, because as you can see, she has fine hair. We want to maximize the volume. But often when people have a strong hairline, they don't want the ends look too bulky and they want it a little feathered. And so pointing would be just cutting into it like this, gently and in a rhythm and a pattern. My favorite hair cutting technique, and the best for increasing volume and therefore also ideal for Teresa, is blunt cutting. Basically, you just cut a very straight line and the hair will always look thicker. And imagine you do this 100 times, the whole head of hair will increase in volume. And dusting is a mini version of blunt cutting, where you literally only take a tiny little bit off. But surprisingly, even that tiny little bit, that dusting, increases the volume and feels like a whole full new haircut. Sometimes people ask for that, and it's actually a lot of fun doing that and a great practice, because if you practice dusting, you cannot really cut someone's hair too short.